Welcome to the MPG Podcast, where your host, John Grabio, talks racing, driving, training, and cars with Newman Watts racing driver Jordan Missick. And now, here's John and Jordan.
Jordan Missick, welcome to the MPG Podcast. How are you?
John, it is great to be back. Thank you once again for doing this and catching back up with you. It's been a while. We've had a little bit of a hiatus, I guess you can say, a little 2 or 3 week break off. So
that's pretty long for us. I think we've both been busy, right?
Yeah, we've both been different racetracks doing everything. You obviously with your son out karting and everything the past couple of weekends, and us as well, getting back from Barber and then doing some testing and being around the club here for the past couple of weeks. So yeah, busy.
I'm gonna turn the fan down here a little bit. So so what's been going on? So today you were back out testing, right? Or yesterday you were testing?
No, today we were.
Today.
Yeah, today we were out testing, and we'll be out here again tomorrow as well.
It's Tuesday the 18th of August.
Yes, Tuesday the 18th. We'll be out here again on Wednesday the 19th. So a couple of days of testing, understanding new parts and new things on the car. So yeah, that's all we're going to be doing for the next couple of month and a half, I'd say, until we get back in the car when we go out to Sebring.
Yeah, so your testing day, how early do you start?
So, the day here at the Autobahn kind of goes from 9:10 is the first time we're on track, but all the guys kind of get here around 8 o'clock, kind of getting all the cars set up and everything, and getting everything prepped for the 9 o'clock session. Then we are on track for 5 times a day, 20-minute sessions, at least we're on. So it starts at like 9:10, then 10:20, 1:15, 3:20, and then ends the day at 5 o'clock with a lunch break in the middle.
Are you there? Is your teammate there also training, testing today, or?
No, Victor is not with us this weekend. He's actually out celebrating. It's kind of interesting because he was out celebrating his 1-year anniversary with his wife last night, and today happens to be my parents' anniversary. So you can see how the days kind of fluctuate there.
Nice.
His is yesterday, my parents is today. So.
Yeah, tell your mom and dad congratulations, and next time I'll speak a little Portuguese next time I say parabéns. That's how you say congratulations in Portuguese.
Parabéns. Okay, I'll just go in. I'll just walk in on the conversation. Goes parabéns and see what their reaction is.
Parabéns por você e sua esposa. So congratulations to you and your wife.
All right, so for those of you, now we are teaching Portuguese on the podcast.
Today, first session out, you're out there with other, sometimes I'm assuming you go out there. Tuesday's probably pretty easy at the track. Not too many people out there. Are you out there with anybody else today at all?
Yeah, no, there wasn't many people out here today. I mean, you had some people who would go out in an O2 session that are getting used to radicals. So we had new guys who are getting used to a radical, jumping in the car for not first time, but recently new owners of a radical. So they were out there practicing with us. We did have an old Pro Mazda out there with us, and then a couple other cars just came out, and they would always go out in the O2 session. So we kind of be all by ourselves with an old Pro Mazda in our O1 session. But then once the O2 sessions came out, that's when all the other cars would soon come out with us.
Yeah. So for the listeners, O1 is like the faster. O means open wheel. So all open wheel and radicals, which is technically not an open wheel car, but
they're a closed wheel, but they're an open cockpit type of car. So
there you go. So they go out together, and then a little bit slower ones are the O2 sessions. Open wheel 2 are the little bit slower ones, and you can kind of all mix and match and kind of work together, and it usually works out pretty good. So what you on a south? So there's 2 tracks at the Autobahn Country Club: north track and a south track, and then they all connect together. What track were you on today?
Today we were on south, and we'll be on south again tomorrow. The Autobahn has it set up for where it's south the whole week. I guess there's 2 Miata races and 2 Radical races this weekend. And the 2 Radical races I'll be partaking in here. But yeah, they have south open all week for practice and everything like that. So a lot of the members probably will come out here throughout this week and get valuable practice time for their races this weekend.
Yeah. So, my son will be hitting the first official Miata race this weekend in the doubleheader. Hopefully it won't rain.
He's gonna have to get out track here this week.
Yeah. So we can talk about that in a second. So what's the anything we've learned from the F3 car today?
We learned a couple of things here and there with changes that made the car a little bit better. Started off with like a different setup than on the other cars, so we kind of just through the same setup from Barber, and then kind of try to make some adjustments to it to kind of make it rotate a little bit better here and there. But all in all, most of the adjustments that we make, we kind of already knew. So right now we're just trying to make some adjustments that we never tried before, new adjustments that we want to try to come up with, maybe like a backdoor adjustment or something like that. So we're just trying to figure out some new ideas or new things that we could try to put together to make another adjustment that can counteract the exact same I want to say the exact same what's the word I want to use, exact same outcome as if we were to try to do this one adjustment.
Right. So how are your lap times when you do make an adjustment? What kind of lap times you're seeing? So I'm guessing about a minute 20 seconds for a lap. Is that ish kind of close? Can we use that as a kind of a benchmark?
You can. You'd be a slow guy though if you're going to win at 20.
10 seconds. A minute 10 seconds.
New tire runs, you're looking at around 116 to 117 lap times. We just kind of put on some medium some used mileage tires, and we were getting around 1 minute 18s. So I'd say, minute 16s, minute 18s is what you were kind of looking for in that range.
Okay, so let's say minute 16 for example here today. So you're out with a minute 16 and you make an adjustment. What are you seeing? Are you seeing a full second? Let's say we go out and make a wing adjustment, a rear wing adjustment, for example. Okay. Are you seeing a full second difference? Or are we now talking tenths of a seconds, half a second, or 2 seconds? I mean, what kind of seconds are we looking at when you're making an adjustment?
So you can either see a tenth of a second, either way. Either you're losing a tenth, you're gaining a tenth, or you're just staying the same with a wing adjustment. Because a wing adjustment is, it's not a major adjustment that you're going to feel mechanically with the car. It's going to be more of an aerodynamic adjustment. And the way the wing adjustments work is if you put it up more, the wing upright more, you're creating more downforce, which means the car is going to stay more stable in the corners, and under braking, it's going to be able to brake a little bit faster. It's kind of like when you put a jet fighter pilot, when you kind of come in for a landing, you put your flaps up. It's kind of the same thing for downforce. You're trying to get the car to brake. For takeoff, you kind of keep it down. You keep the wing as trim as you can try to be to try to get as much speed as you can. So when you trim the wing out, you're putting the wing end down. You're getting less of a downforce, but you're getting more of trimming it out, so you're getting less drag. So you're going to be able to go faster in a straight line, but you're not going to be able to have as much grip in the corners.
So you're talking you're making all these adjustments on this car, and you're talking tenths of seconds.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many adjustments that we can make, mechanically and inside the car that we can make that goes even faster. That could be more of a major adjustment, but the wing adjustment itself could be like, at some tracks, some people will try to use less wing to try to get a little more straight line speed. Others will try to put more wind to try to keep the corner speed going and give up some straight line speed. Obviously, if you want to pass, you want to have less wing, but if you want to get around in corners and corner faster and try to get away from someone, you may want to end up putting more wing. So that's where the strategy kind of comes into play between wing adjustments on which we think is better. So for qualifying, for instance, some people, we're not going to be passing in qualifying, so you want the most speed out of the car as you can get. So you may try to trim the car out a little bit more and then put more wing in for when the race happens. So that's kind of the difference between the strategy of the wings, how you can judge between if someone has less wing or more wing, and you kind of try to see what everybody else is doing to kind of use that towards your advantage.
Interesting. And how much? So when you're talking tenths of a second, you have to drive super consistently
Yeah.
to
Oh yeah.
to notice that there is a difference. So when you go out and they make an adjustment on, pick anything, if they make an adjustment, how soon are you noticing? Let's say they're doing a camber adjustment. So they're taking the
Yep.
the wheels in or out, which would be camber,
Yep.
from a vertical position. How soon do you notice those changes? Or you notice them at the first turn? Can you feel insignificant, or I shouldn't say insignificant, minute changes?
You can notice it between the first 2 to 4 laps. Anything different or adjustment with the cars. You get a really good read after about 6 or 7 laps. You can really get a good read on what the car is doing. But to really start to notice it and understand what the car is doing, I'd say 2 to 4 to notice the thing. So that's what you want to do, is try to do back-to-back adjustments. So you want to kind of go out, do a run, kind of get a read on the car and understand what the car is doing, then come in, make the adjustment, and then send you right back out. So you can kind of understand what you felt before, do the exact same thing, and then see if you notice what's the difference in what that adjustment is. So that's what we've been kind of trying to do, and that's what we've been able to learn when we do these test days.
Interesting. Well, today, and you got another one tomorrow. That's awesome. And you're going to do about two days a week. Is that coming up until your next race?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be kind of on and off here and there with school starting around the corner, because I unfortunately start school next week. I know, sad. Summer's coming to an end. But, the good thing about this is that with the whole pandemic that's been happening, some colleges and everything have been moving towards online classes. So it has kind of freed up my schedule a little bit to where I don't have to go in 5 days a week, as well as be at school for 6, maybe 7 hours a day. I can now go in for like maybe 1 or 2 hours and then get out of there and then come back and test here for like the afternoon. So what we have planned out for me, which would be best for my schedules, is that I have Tuesdays off according to my schedule. So we may test on like a Tuesday, and then the team will come in on Wednesday where I have school in the morning. And then once the afternoon hits, I'll be out here testing in the afternoon. So it kind of works out that way.
Yeah. So you're entering your senior year in college.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to be exciting, right?
Yeah, no, it's exciting. Also a little scary too. So, kind of getting towards the end. So we're really hoping that this racing career does pan out, because I'm full-fledged trying to get a racing career to get going, to hopefully get up to IndyCar one day. So, we don't want to have a backup plan just yet. But of course, the degree, we're hoping that if this racing doesn't seem to pan out, I could fall back on a degree, something in the racing field, hopefully.
Well, I mean, hey, look, I mean, I'm watching this, and I'm a semi-professional broadcaster and race analysis, and everything looks great for you. We're just and I'm on board. We're just racing for that car owner to say, hey, Jordan Missick, come drive this car in the following Formula IndyCar series. And,
yes. I'm just waiting for that phone call to happen. Just waiting for it.
This week you had quite excitement. On Saturday we had a go-kart race at the Audubon Country Club, and I guess I would say it like this: you put on a clinic on how to race a go-kart, how to manage, maybe not necessarily go-kart, how to race, how to manage opponents, how to put yourself in a position that is unbeatable, I think you might say. Yeah, it was very entertaining and enjoyable to watch.
To sum it up, I guess I'll say it's smart racing is what we could say. Using your head when you're racing. For those of you who missed it, I got to thank Audubon Country Club and Kart Circuit Audubon enough. I can't thank them enough for able to put on this race and also make it a live stream race, so people can actually go to the Audubon Country Club's YouTube channel and you can actually watch the race yourself, since they were able to have cameras and even a drone footage there of the race itself. So go ahead, go check that out, and you'll be able to see the race that we're about to talk about. So yeah, the race unfolded pretty well for us. I was racing head to head with Chris Sardenik. He's been knocking on the door for the past couple of years and the past couple of races. So he's been getting quicker and quicker, which I love to see. I love to see all these karters get up to speed and be able to come challenge me, because it makes, one, the club racing so much more competitive. Two, it makes it more fun, and that's not just for me. It makes it more fun for everybody to be able to race as hard as you can and be able to battle side by side and maybe bumper to bumper against someone for a race win. That's what it's all about. It's not about just showing up and letting the fast guy pull up to a 3-second lead and just say, oh, we're not going to catch him. It's about working towards it and going after him to be able to one time beat him and show everyone that he's beatable. We can all race for it now. So yeah, that's what it was kind of all about. But really, it comes down to the first part of the race. I got out to a nice easy lead, but then he was able to come track me down, and I was pushing it. I was pushing the cart and keeping it nice and steady, keeping my pace the way I normally do when I'm ever in the lead of a race. But he was able to catch back up to me, kind of challenge me a little bit. And as soon as I saw him catch up to me, I knew I had to play a little bit smart racing here. So normally what I started to do was, as soon as I saw him on my back bumper, I would pull off to the side a little bit, to the right-hand side, and in the pre-final race, and go a little defensive to see what his next move would be. And sure enough, he would try to go to the outside. He would get a good enough run on me a couple times, but eventually I would decide that I'll break him into the corner to hold the inside, and then try to hold it tight on the exit so he couldn't do what I was doing, which is cross him over. So I would try to keep it as tight as I possibly can, avoiding him to get to my inside, but also try to force him to go around the outside as well to get around me the long way. So I did that for a numerous couple laps. Eventually he kind of saw my plan, would come to the inside of me and go even lower. And at this point, we're kind of pinning him down to the inside part of the racetrack. So, we're both barreling into turn one side by side at the lowest point of the tracks. Our entry angles are way messed up. So as soon as I saw we were about to enter the corner, I decided to pull to the left and use all the real estate that was left on the outside part of the racetrack to better my entry point to the corner. And he would stay on the inside. He had to lay off a lot more than I would, because his entry angle was a lot more shallower than mine was. And I was just able to roll more speed around the outside and eventually get around him on the second to last lap and carry home the win in the pre-final. Now, I switched on my strategy a little bit in the final race because I figured he'd be thinking I was doing the same thing. So I was just trying to stay one step ahead of him and outsmart him every move I made. So in the final race, I just kind of held my line on the outside, forced him to the inside to see what he can do. He would run the normal line on the inside, but then I would end up crossing him over sometimes. Or if I saw my cart was a little bit ahead of him and he hit the brakes a little bit too early, I tried to roll the speed on the outside. So kind of whatever he was trying to do, I was trying to do the opposite, to do whatever I can to try to keep the lead. And that just came with racing experience, racing a lot of kart races, and understanding, being through the situations and understanding what each situation was bringing up to me, as well as like just kind of understanding what he was going to do and kind of play a little mind game with him inside his head to make him think, oh, I know what he's going to do. No, you don't.
Yeah. You watch the race on the Audubon Country Club YouTube channel. It's not a long race. They're 30-second laps. Yeah. And they're 12 lap races or something
about
like
15 to 20 minutes of your time.
Yeah. So, but you can see the racecraft there. All those IndyCar owners can go there and watch and see you race. How smart you are. When it comes down to just the racecraft employed. Yeah, it's a go-kart, but it's the same strategy.
Yeah, and it shows the type of defensive driving that some drivers need to learn. Those things. I mean, everybody can drive a car fast, but when it comes to racecraft and being in the lead, and someone's right behind you on your gearbox, how do you drive with your mirrors without looking in your mirrors defensively? How do you hold the lead without making any major maneuvers or anything like that? It's defensive driving. So I hope in that race it showed a really good understanding of what defensive driving is like, what kind of defensive driving I'm capable of, and hopefully it gives like someone who's maybe up and coming in karting or wants to learn how to defensive drive. That's the way to do it. Just go look at the video, and that's a clear-cut example of how to do it.
Yeah, you weren't the fastest guy on the track that day.
No,
I think you were the third or fourth fastest guy on the track that day, and you led everything.
I was actually the fifth fastest guy on the track. even your son, a bunch of other guys were much faster than me. I put the fifth fastest lap time down, and some guys were 0.2 of a second faster than me. But it was just the positioning I was in, the way I was able to maneuver through the traffic and keep my momentum up is what kept me through it. Once you start battling, it's just whoever can be out in front. It's not about lap time anymore. It's about lap time when you're trying to catch someone. But that moment someone starts battling with you, the lap time's gone. You're just worried about staying in front of that guy or trying to get around him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was great. It was fun. It was awesome to watch. Thanks, Jordan, for being on the podcast again. Appreciate your time and filling this in on what's going on this week. Let's touch base again next week. We have a couple other things to talk about, but have a great week and a couple radical races coming up. Is it two? You said doubleheader radical race coming up?
It's a doubleheader radical race on Sunday, the day of the Indy 500. So we'll be watching both of those things for sure.
Awesome. All right, Jordan. Well, thanks for being on the podcast again.
Thank you, John. We'll talk to you next week.
Before we go, yes, sponsors.
Oh, yeah, I got to thank the sponsors, Audubon Country Club, Mystic Performance Group, thank you for putting on this podcast, Kart Circuit Audubon for all the things they've been able to do to help me through my career, as well as the Audubon Country Club as well. They've been a huge help, advanced me in my career in such a short period of time, and I can't thank them enough for what they've been able to do for me, my family, and my racing career.
Outstanding. To find out more, simple way to find out what's going on, Google Jordan Missig Racing. But you can go to jordanmissingracing.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those things.
Yep, all the handles are there and everything. You're free to click on and everything like that, and you can find all the information based on my racing through all of my social medias, website, YouTube, whatever. It's all right there if you Google Jordan Missig, for sure.
All right. Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you, John. We'll talk to you next week.